What's up guys, it's Darius, and Galaxy Note 9 was released about a year ago, and I've been using it on and off ever since then. Samsung has just announced the Galaxy Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, and they look like great devices, but Galaxy Note has always been Samsung's overkill smartphone for power users, and they throw pretty much every feature there is on that phone. But I feel like that's no longer the case, especially with the smaller model, the Note 10. So this is Samsung Galaxy Note 9 revisited after a year, and why you should consider it over the new Note 10. First, let's check out what the Note 9 still has to offer. It still has a very premium build with the classic Samsung glass and metal design, and I think it still looks great even compared to newer devices. It's very sturdy, still has an IP68 rating, and it was decent against drops, but it does scratch fairly easily, but it wasn't too much of an issue. It being completely covered in glass, it is still one of the biggest fingerprint magnets out there. It is a little annoying. I don't really like my phones getting super smudgy. You can't really do much about it. You could put a case or skin on it, but I just used it like that. Being a Note, it is a big device. For me, definitely a two-handed device. I can't really use it comfortably with one hand. I would probably drop it, so I used it with two hands for the most part. Of course, it also has the S Pen with all its S Pen features. I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't really use the S Pen that much, but it does have some cool and very useful features. The display is incredible. It's still one of the best screens on any smartphone out there. It has a 6.4-inch Quad HD panel with an 18.5:9 aspect ratio, and media consumption is just amazing. The bezels are very minimal. It still has the curved edges. I really like how it feels, but it does have a little bit of glare when you're watching something. Nevertheless, it's one of the best devices for media consumption, especially because it has quite decent speakers. It also gets very bright, and I had no issues at all. I took on vacation, it was always very bright with the sun, but I can always see the screen. Over the last year, it has gotten quite a few software updates. It's now running Samsung's new One UI on top of Android Pie. I actually quite like it. It's a little more toned down. It looks great, has a couple of few awesome features. Bixby is still very much annoying and not useful at all. The only times I used it was when I accidentally pressed the button, which was very irritating. Performance is also nothing to worry about. It's still quite snappy. I feel like since it got updated to One UI, it has gotten a little slower. So it's not one of the fastest phones out there, but performance isn't anything to worry about. In terms of cameras, you get a regular shooter and a tele lens. They both produce incredible photos, very sharp and detailed, with very vibrant colors. I'll be honest with you guys, it's not as good as something like the Pixel 3, but it's still a very capable camera. The images can turn out a little oversharp or even soft in some cases, but for the most part, the images are very nice. In low light, it's also quite capable. It has a variable aperture, which means it can let in a little more light. Again, not comparable to like night sight on the Pixel 3, but still pretty good. The selfie camera is also decent. I like that it has a wide angle mode so you can fit in a couple more people. And lastly, how did the battery hold up? It is packing a 4000 mAh battery, so you'd expect it to have great battery life, and it does. Like the performance, I feel like it has decreased compared to day one, but it's still pretty good and gets me through a regular day no problem. I noticed that when I used Google Maps a lot, then the device got hot and the battery drained quite quickly. For days like that where I need a little more juice, I really like the feature of being able to adjust the screen resolution, well basically lower it to full HD or even 720p, so you can get a little more use out of it. When you eventually do run out, it does have quick charge, which is always a nice thing to have. Now you know how the Note 9 holds up after a year, but what would you be missing out on compared to the Note 10? Well, there are a few things, and many of them are actually already found on the S10. The first and most obvious one is the design. Galaxy Note 10 doesn't look drastically different than the Note 9, but it does have less bezel, pretty much no bezel, and instead it has a cutout in the middle. Now some people might like that, others might not. It's really personal preference. I've already experienced it on the Galaxy S10, and I actually quite like it, but compared to the very small bezel on the Note 9, it's not really a big deal. Now you also get a couple of new colors, but again, not a huge deal. Next up, and this is kind of a big deal, is the third camera, specifically the ultra-wide camera. It's also a feature you find on the Galaxy S10, and it is very useful. If you're on vacation or in a tight space and you really want to fit in, let's say, a building that you want to take a picture of, the ultra-wide angle camera can really come in the clutch in maybe the difference between getting a shot and not getting it. It's definitely very useful and can result in some unique shots. The next thing you'd be missing out on is the in-display fingerprint scanner. Again, something already found on the Galaxy S10, and I can tell you, while it is quite cool, you can show other people that, wow, your fingerprint scanner is under the display, it's not actually more practical. It's not any faster, it's actually a bit slower, and accuracy wasn't 100% either compared to just a regular fingerprint scanner like the one on the back found on the Note 9. And lastly, there's two other main things that you'll be missing out on. First, Note 10 has slightly faster charging, and you get reverse wireless charging. Again, cool to show other people, but in real life, it's not all that useful. Okay, now you know what the Note 10 has that the Note 9 doesn't have. But what about the other way around? What does the Note 9 have that the Note 10 doesn't? And the first thing is the display. The Note 10 only ships with a 1080p panel. And while that's fine, it's not all that great, especially if you have such a large screen. The Note 9, on the other hand, has a Quad HD panel. And even compared to the Quad HD panel on the Note 10 Plus, it even has a higher pixel density because the screen is a little smaller. Next up is a big one, the headphone jack. Yes, the Note 9 still has it, and the Note 10 is the first one without one. Now this is a big deal for some people. For me, not so much because I mainly use wireless headphones, but it's still nice to be able to have the ability to just plug in some headphones and go. And if you're saying, well, who cares? I'll just use the included adapter. Well, there isn't one. It's sold separately, and, well, yeah. Another thing that you would be missing out on if you get the Note 10 would be expandable storage. The larger Note 10 Plus does have one, and they both come with 256 gigs of storage built in already. But this is supposed to be a phone for the power user. So why would you get rid of it? Especially on such a big device where you could easily fit in an SD card slot and a headphone jack. Next up is a minor one. The heart rate monitor is gone. I didn't really use it at all, but you might care, and it's just something you should know. Another thing that Samsung removed this time is the iris scanner. On my Note 9, I actually use Face Unlock, which combines regular face scanning and iris scanning more than I use the fingerprint scanner. It's a fairly secure and convenient way of unlocking my phone, and the Note 10 doesn't have it. I don't know why, but it doesn't. Lastly, the big one obviously is price. This is the main reason why I made this video. If you were to pick up a Note 10 right now, it would run you $950. That's okay. The Note 9 started at $1,000 as well when it came out. The Note 10 Plus, on the other hand, will run you $1,100. Well, it starts there. If you check Amazon, you can see that you can pick up a Note 9 for around $600 right now. And that is a great deal. So if you're looking to pick up a new Note, I definitely recommend checking out the Note 9 instead of the Note 10. You save around $350 and you're not really losing anything. In fact, you're actually gaining a few things like a higher resolution display, a headphone jack, and a few other things. The Note 10 Plus, on the other hand, might be worth it. It is a better device for sure, but really think about how important these new features are to you and if you're willing to spend almost $500 more compared to the Note 9. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. This wasn't supposed to be Note 10 bashing at all. I think it is a great device, but the Note 9 is a much better deal in my opinion. Make sure to smash the like button, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!